Göbekli Tepe, Part 1 Inch the discovery that rewrote the beginning. Hey, today we're heading into the hills near Sanliurfa in southeastern Turkey, to a wind-bright limestone mound that flipped our timeline. Göbekli Tepe, Potbelly Hill. Not a city, not a farm, but a place where people 12,000 years ago carved T-shaped pillars, set them in stone circles, and filled them with animals in low relief. It's older than pottery in this region, older than towns we usually call the first. If you were taught farming villages temples, this hill politely says, maybe temples came first. A hill everyone missed, until someone didn't. For decades locals grazed animals here. In the 1960s a survey misread the scatter as Byzantine rubble. In the 1990s Klaus Schmidt climbed the hill, noticed carved fragments, clean corners, animal reliefs, and realized this was architecture, not farm wall. Test trenches pulled bones from wild animals, gazelle, boar, aurochs, not domestic herds. Radiocarbon dates landed in the pre-pottery Neolithic, ppna a ppnb tilde 9600–8200 BCE. Translation: monuments before farms. At least hear what the T-pillars are saying. Each T reads like a stylized human, crossbar as shoulders, shaft as torso. Some show arms in low relief, belts and loincloths, faces left blank, like roles more than individuals. A typical circle has a ring of pillars and two taller central twins facing each other, like speakers on a stage. Around them, animals, foxes, boar, aurochs, gazelles, snakes, scorpions, birds, move in crisp, confident lines. They're not decor, they're calories, danger, respect, story. You don't need star maps to explain them, just life and ritual. How do you build this with stone tools? Limestone is soft enough to carve, hard enough to stand. Quarries scar the bedrock right on the hill. Half-cut pillars still lie there like sleeping whales. Tools were flint obsidian blades, hammer stones, picks, polishers. Transport? Sledges, rollers, ropes, rhythm. Foundations were dug, pillars set, backfilled and tamped. The engineering is practical, center of gravity, footing, iteration, no metal required. Just a lot of bodies and a long calendar. The strangest habit: bury your masterpiece. Finished enclosures were deliberately backfilled with soil, stone, and everyday debris, then a new circle was built nearby. Over centuries the mound became a layer cake. Think of it as closing a season, sealing power, and opening another. The backfill is both time capsule and ritual act, the idea that keeps archaeologists awake. If huge seasonal gatherings and feasts happen here, you need reliable food. That pressure may push people toward domesticating plants and animals. In other words, the ritual center could be a cause of farming, not a byproduct. Across the region we later see the shift from wild to managed pigs, cattle, sheep, goats. The story isn't a straight line, it's a braid of food, ritual, and social complexity. Was it a temple or a place people lived? Early trenches suggested a special purpose hill with few domestic traces. Newer work in the area points to work zones and nearby domestic spaces. Safest read, Göbekli Tepe was ritual heavy, like a festival ground with long build seasons and bursts of occupation. Temples is fine as headline, ritual center, keeps us honest. Astronomy? Maybe, but feet first, eyes up, people absolutely watch the sky. Rough alignments are plausible. But turning carved animals into our modern constellations is risky. Constellations are cultural. The carvings speak a grounded language first: food, fear, memory, belonging. If stronger alignment evidence appears, we weigh it. No thumbnails, just data. The human moment. Look for the carved hand on a pillar, fingers curled, pointing down. In one small gesture, 12,000 years vanish. Someone with our body schema made a sign we still read, why here worked, the hill sees far. The limestone yields. Water lies nearby in the landscape. It's reachable for multiple groups and performs like a stage. If your society is glued by story and feast, this is the perfect auditorium. How the weforms.no spreadsheets, obligations, gifts, songs. Messengers carry the date, bands arrive with flint, meat, news. Young people meet partners. Elders trade knowledge. Ritual is the operating system that coordinates labor, not alone on the map. Göbekli Tepe sits in a network with sites like Karahan Tepe, Sifa Tepe, Hamzan Tepe, Sayburk, and the flooded Nevali Kori, all experimenting with pillars, reliefs, and gathering. It's the loudest voice in a regional chorus, why this matters, and what we don't know. It shows monuments before farms, craft at stone's limit, and organization without cities. It humbles our tidy sequence of origins. We still don't know the exact words, roles, or rules. But we do know people came here for centuries, moved stone, ate together, buried their stages with care, and started again. Part 2 Inside the Circles. In Part 1 we learned why Göbekli Tepe matters. Now let's see how a circle works, what the pillars say, and why burying each enclosure turns the hill into a layered ritual calendar. Point 1. The basic layout, the stone theatre, architecture, round wall with perimeter T-pillars, in the center, two taller T-pillars facing each other. Bodies as letters, every T reads like a stylized human, shoulders, crossbar, torso, shaft, often arms, hands, belt, loincloth, no faces, role, not person. Program, crisp animal reliefs, fox, boar, aurochs, snakes. Scorpions, birds, arranged deliberately, more like a curated set than decoration. One-liner, ring equals community, twins equals focus, walls equals chorus. Point 2, the enclosures at a glance, enclosure D, the template, big, clear central twins, dense, confident animal mix, belts and hands sharply carved, feels like the full grammar of the site. VO hook, a room made of bodies. The ring watches, the center converses. Enclosure C, variations, sharper emphasis, crisper shoulder blocks, reliefs lean into fox motifs, compositions a bit leaner, same language, fewer notes. Enclosure B, compact, immediate, smaller radius, twins dominate more, animals appear in tighter clusters, intimate room, bigger presence. Enclosure A, early, punchy, same plan, more prototype feel, bold animals, less layering. You can feel the system learning itself. Point 3, what the central twins do staged face-to-face, hands meeting above a belt equals. Contained force, read them as roles made solid, ancestor, office, or threshold posts. The power is in the space between. Point for animals equals relationships, not a zoo, fox, agility, messenger energy, or a danger plus feast, aurochs, raw force, a social event to hunt, snakes, scorpions, risk and medicine, ambivalent power, the birds, vultures, sky, caretakers of remains, renewal. One-liner, every animal here is a verb, eat, risk, heal, return. 5. The walls also speak, low courses carry bands of snakes or insert stones. Punctuation for the room, dry masonry means stones were chosen, not dumped. The ring itself talks. 6. Backfilling equals a ritual calendar, finished circles were deliberately buried with soil, stone, and living debris, bones, flakes, then a new circle built nearby that creates a layered timeline. Archaeologists can read, closure by design, not collapse. One-liner, they didn't abandon rooms, they retired them. 7. A plausible yearly workflow, fast sketch, quarry season, cool cold cut pillar blanks. Rough shape in bedrock, gather season, haul, raise, carve reliefs in situ, feast season, slaughter, dance, initiate, point at carvings as you tell the stories, close, continue, seal with backfill or keep the circle open. No bosses, no beasts, just memory, consent leaders, shared calendar. Point 8, it's a network, not an island. Sister sites, Karahan Teep, Nevali Kori, Sayberk, Hamzan Sifa Teep, share the grammar with twists. Göbekli Tepe is the loudest voice, not the only. 1.9, conservation without killing. The mood shelters walkways protect limestone but keep sightlines. 3D scans capture detail, signage explains without overclaiming goal, let the stones keep speaking, not shout. Part 3, the people behind the pillars, tools, feasts, seasons, and social glue, condensed, conversational. Welcome back. We've seen why Göbekli Tepe matters, Part 1, and how the circles read, Part 2. Now let's meet the people who made it happen, how they cut stone with stone, fed crowds without farms, at first, timed the year, traded far, and kept hundreds of hands moving without kings or beasts. Point 1, toolkits at the edge of stone technology. What they had: flint, local nodules, shaped into blades, burins, scrapers, obsidian, imported via exchange, for ultra-sharp cutting, great for hide, fine carving, ritual knives, hammer stones and picks, hard limestone dolomite, for quarrying, abraders, polishers to smooth pillar faces and relief edges, bone tools, awls, points, for leatherwork, stitching, basketry. How this becomes architecture, quarry in place. Outline AT in bedrock, undercut, pry free. Rough shape near the quarry, finish in situ once. Upright reliefs use negative carving, remove background, leave animal raised, in size first. Feathered details. One-liner, no metal, no problem, just skill, time, and a workshop mindset. 2, a moving many tons without wheels or oxen. Likely recipe: sledges under the pillar, rollers beneath the sledge, fiber ropes, twisted plant fibers, animal sinew, teams coordinated by rhythm, work songs keep pulls in sync. Ramps of packed soil for short elevation changes, foundation pits and backfill to lock bases. Reality check: physics isn't the hard part, coordination is. You need a calendar, shared rules, and prestige tied to showing up. One-liner, the heaviest part wasn't the stone, it was the schedule. 3, feeding the builders, feast economies. Bones don't lie, early layers equals wild animals, gazelle, aurochs, boar, deer, later regional trend equals more managed species, pigs, sheep, goats, feasting signals, mass butchery marks, fire-cracked stone, piles of specific bones, e.g., boar jaws, roasting pits. Why feasts matter: pay labor in calories plus status, create intergroup alliances, marriages, pledges, turn building into event, work in the morning, ritual at night. One-liner, stone stands because meat sizzled. For seasonality, when the hill wakes up. Clues from animals and plants, gazelle migrations and rutting seasons. Big winter, early spring draws, wild cereal ripening late spring, summer gatherings, climate favors quarrying in cool months, carving a feasting when roads, paths, are dry. Social calendar: quarry season, cool cutty rough pillars tall and raise, shoulder. Seasons: grounds firm, teams travel, feast peak, when food is abundant. Ritual plus carving in situ, closure, backfill, at defined thresholds, after X years. Chapters. One-liner, the site breathes with the year, cut, haul, carve, feast, seal. 5, exchange networks, how far the hill reaches. Obsidian carries a map, geochemical fingerprints link chips to Anatolian sources. Trade or down the line exchange shells. Pigments hint at non-local contacts. Ideas travel to sister sites, Karahan Tepe, Sayberk, Nevali Kori, share the pillar grammar with twists. Why it matters: you're not looking at an isolated genius hill, you're seeing a region teaching itself a new language of stone. One-liner, the pillars talk local limestone, the toolkit speaks distant volcanoes. 6, social tech, getting hundreds to agree no crowns, no cops. So what? Obligation chains. We came to your feast, you'll come to ours, gifts and prestige. Best hunters sponsor a pillar or animal. Ritual roles, elders, carvers, coordinators. Story power, myth frames effort. We do this because X did this. Reputation as currency. Reliable crews get the best spots and the loudest stories. One-liner. The blueprint was in people, not parchment. 7. Craft specialization. Without classes, evidence in the stone, consistent pillar proportions, template knowledge, relief, handwriting. Clusters named but unnamed masters and apprentices. Tool edge angles, repeat shared training. Take, specialization not equal to rigid hierarchy. It's role-based mastery in a network. One-liner, same alphabet, different hands. 8. Clothes, skin, and sound belts and loincloths on pillars. Mirror rail garments, likely leather with bone toggles, ornament, beads, shells, boar tusks, pigment residues suggest body paint for rites. Sound, drums from stretched hide, rattles, bone flutes, ambient tools to coordinate labor and mark ritual peaks. One-liner. You can't raise pillars in silence. 9. Health and risk work hazards, crushed fingers, back strain, stone splinters, cuts and infection. Obsidian is clean sharp, but injuries happen. Herbal knowledge and cauterization likely. Poison know-how. Snakes, scorpions in art hint at a culture that knew venom as both danger and potential medicine. One-liner. Risk was a teacher, carved right into the walls. 10. Backfill as ceremony. How closure felt. Closing a circle equals ritual, processions, last offerings, intentional trash. Feast remains, final songs, then bury. It preserves power, prevents casual reuse, and rights. A timestamp for future diggers. Us. One-liner. They archived rooms the way we archive drives, seal, label, in layers. Move on to 11. Experimental archaeology. Testing the doable reproduction show 50-100 people can move multi-ton blocks on rollers. Stone tool carving reaches surprising precision with time and abrasion. Raising a 5 to 6 m pillar is slow but repeatable with pits, levers, backfill. Take. The how is solved by patience plus practice, not missing technology. One-liner. Impossible becomes Tuesday when you've done it for 10 winters. 12. What the bones really say. Species mix varies by layer. Reading menus and seasons. Aged sex profiles reveal hunting strategies. Targeting prime meat. Cut mark patterns show butchery sequences. Burnt bone suggests cooking versus disposal. Take. Feasts weren't random binges, they were planned logistics with culinary choreography. One-liner. Archaeology is reading a dinner party 12,000 years late. 13. Children, learning, and memory. Small tool marks and off. Perfect incisions imply apprentices. Miniature carvings and practice stones equals teaching aids. Rituals double as schools. You learn the songs, the pulls, the stories. One-liner. Every feast raised a pillar and a generation. 14. Myths we don't need and how to stay sharp. Aliens, human hands plus time. Explain it. 1-to-1 star maps. Possible alignments, but animal not equal to modern constellation by default. Instant agriculture. Shift is gradual. Ritual pressure likely nudged it. Rule, prefer layers over headlines. Part for inch sorting. Hype from evidence. What changes, what doesn't, and why it matters. Condensed, conversational. Welcome back. We've felt the shock. Part 1. Learn to read the circles. Part 2. And met the people and logistics behind the stone. Part 3. Now we'll do the hard but satisfying work. Separate evidence from hype. Place Göbekli Tepe in its regional network and spell out exactly what this site changes about our origin story and what it doesn't. We'll finish with ethics, conservation, and how to visit. Teach the site without flattening its mystery. Point 1. The 3 piles: fact, inference, fantasy. Facts, measured and repeatable dates, pre-pottery Neolithic A, B, tilde 9600 8200 BCE, from radiocarbon samples in secure layers, architecture, circular stone enclosures with perimeter T-pillars and taller central twins, deliberate backfilling art, low-relief animals, belts, hands, stylized human forms, no faces, economy, early layers dominated by wild fauna, feasting debris, later regional shift toward managed species, workflows, quarry scars, half-cut pillars, toolkits, flint to obsidian, inferences, good, but provisional ritual center used seasonally by multiple groups, feasts coordinate labor roles embodied by twins, ancestor office threshold, backfill as closure, retire a season or chapter, network tradition across nearby sites with shared grammar, fantasy, park it at the gate aliens or lost super tech. Human hands plus time suffice. 1-to-1 zodiac code. Possible sky awareness not equal to modern constellations carved in stone, instant agriculture. Farming emerges gradually, ritual pressure likely nudged it, not replaced it. Rule of thumb, admire boldly, conclude cautiously. Point 2, what Göbekli Tepe actually changes monuments after farming. Not always. Here, people organized large-scale builds before full farming. Ritual can be a driver, not just a reward. B, hunter-gatherers equals simple wrong. They planned across seasons, pooled labor, standardized forms, managed supply chains, stone, food, craft. C, art is late luxury. No, here, art is infrastructure, carved programs that frame social life, memory, and rules. D, innovation equals city trickle-down. Not here. This is frontier R&D, architecture, choreography, tool mastery outside cities and states. Point 3, what it doesn't change. Agriculture still matters. Cereals, herding, storage, property law, these transform daily life. Later, a regional diversity remains. Göbekli Tepe is one tradition among many. It doesn't overwrite Levant, Zagros, Nile stories. Cities still do new things. Bureaucracy, writing, taxation, empire-scale art, those are later inventions. Evidence still rules. New trenches can tighten or flip today's inferences. The point is good method, not permanent headlines. Point 4, the regional chorus, why comparison matters. Karahan Tepe, same pillar grammar, innovative spaces, sunken recessed rooms, dramatic features like the head pit. Neveli Kori, rectangular rooms with pillars, signals a shift toward house-like forms and more domestic life. Sayburg, Hamzan, Sifa Tepe, local twists, proof the language spreads with dialects. Take, it's a network, not a one-off miracle. Ideas travel with people, gifts, marriages, and feasts. Point 5, the sky question, keep both feet and eyes up, reasonable, rough orientation to seasonal events, people who gather by season notice light and shadow. Risky, mapping animals to modern constellations as a master code, smarter approach, test specific alignments with solid methods, horizon profiles, precession accounted for, and keep claims bounded. A line to use. They watch the sky, the carvings first speak the language of earth, food, fear. Renewal 6, ethics and provenance, telling the story right. Stewardship, this is living heritage in Turkey. Credit local scholars, workers, and institutions. Context, avoid ripping single carvings into meme fodder, show the room they belong to. Attribution, when using reconstructions, 3D models, label them, distinguish original from interpretive. Language, ritual center or ceremonial complex often beats temple for nuance. If you use temple, define your terms, why it matters. Accuracy builds trust, trust keeps access open. Point 7, conservation, protect the stone, keep the soul. Shelters and walkways reduce weathering and foot damage while preserving sight lines. Point 3D scanning and photogrammetry, bank millimeter detail before loss. Climate and touch management, limited access zones, controlled humidity. Interpretation on-site should explain without over-deciding, let visitors feel wonder and method. Goal, conservation that doesn't Turn a ritual landscape into a sterile diorama. Point 8. Visiting and filming without flattening it. Start wide. The hill's horizon. Move to twins. End on hands belts. Let silence breathe between facts. Use one careful analogy per segment. Stadium, church, town, square. And don't mix metaphors. Avoid greatest, first, proof of X unless you can cite the layer and sample end segments with a question. What would your group carve here? It keeps wonder open. Point 9. Teaching the site. A simple ladder. Look, describe what's actually there. Pillars, layout, animals, group, ring equals community, twins equals focus, walls equals chorus, time, ppna to ppnb dates, backfill creates chapters, people, quarries, tools, feasts, coordination, compare, Karahan and Everly, Corey and neighbors, caution, what we can say versus what we're still testing a meaning. How ritual can drive social change. Point 10. The big so what? Clear, bounded, useful, ritual builds society. Before laws and ledgers, people gathered for story, grief, initiation, and celebration, and those gatherings scaled architecture. Innovation can be communal. Standardization and mastery don't require kings, they require memory, rhythm, and reputation. Narratives need updating. Replace farming villages, temples with a braid, ritual, food management, settlement, and craft co-evolve, sometimes with ritual leading. Humility is data friendly. The moment we treat a trench like a podium for certainty, we stop learning. Point 1. Sentence you can keep. Before we built cities to shape us, we built stone circles to shape her. 11. Answers to common hot takes. Rapid fire. It's proof of a lost civilization. Evidence shows local innovation with Stone Age tools. No vanished high-tech needed. It encodes the zodiac exactly. Interesting hypotheses exist. None meet a high bar across multiple enclosures with tight dating. Keep testing. It means agriculture was a mistake. It means ritual mattered before and during domestication. Value judgments are modern baggage. Hunter-gatherers couldn't organize this. They did, over centuries, because they had calendars, feasts, and obligations. Point 12. A respectful ending. Stand at the rail, feel the wind, and look at the hands carved on stone. Someone 12,000 years ago learned to make a line that still reads. The hill isn't asking us to worship, it's asking us to listen carefully and speak carefully in return. What Göbekli Tepe changes, our sequence and our respect. What it leaves intact, the need for good evidence and better questions.